Hello, Mark Hollon, Hollon Gold, Riggins, Idaho. Hollon Gold Mining Adventures. I'm here with Bob Dedick. It's a wrap up of what we did last summer. Last summer was a bit of a struggle. It was not our best season, but we had a lot of fun trips, fond memories, and we learned a lot. Not only did we have hiccups on the trail, at the end of the season, Bob managed to accidentally delete all of our footage that he had filmed all summer long, so probably just as well. We're going to do it again. We've got a big summer planned, so we're going to kind of do this video as a wrap for last summer, and we're going to go out and make some memories, find some gold. We're going to show the good, the bad, and the muddy, and we'll be posting again. We'll post this season in the fall, so if you want to keep in touch and see how our mining goes this season, feel free to subscribe. And later this fall, we'll have our entire summer, which we plan right off the bat. Actually, our first adventure is we're going back in for 4 days on horsebacks to do some metal detecting on a high altitude ancient river in the Hells Canyon area. We also plan on exploring some old drift mines. We're going to do some sniping. We're going to put our dredge back in, and we're going dredging. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, on that note, Bob, what's on your mind this morning?
Well, I think, as you mentioned earlier, you're absolutely correct that last season was interesting. And I think let's kind of just do a recap so people understand that gold mining is not about every time you go out and you're finding gold. There's tons of mishaps, and that's the one thing that I've noticed, not only on the major gold shows you see online, and also some other channels out there. Everybody shows you all the fun stuff. I have yet to see people go out and get completely skunked or the massive screw-ups. And I think let's talk about that, and then while we finish up, Mark, with what our real plans are and what we're going to do for a change. How's that? So let's. I know we kind of started off doing high banking. We had the granite zone, the basalt zones, and the Salmon River. Why don't you kind of really quickly tell us about that?
Well, we live in a real hodgepodge place when it comes to geology. I mean, I have basalt in my backyard, and you drive down the road less than a quarter mile, less than an eighth of a mile, you go around the corner, and it turns into granite. Our region was granite at one time, and then basalt flowed in on top of it. Ironically, just about everywhere that's not covered with basalt, there's gold, at least some. In some places, obviously richer than others. We were doing some road cut mining. In the granite areas, we found a little more gold than we did in basalt areas, even though there was significant workings down in the basalt areas. But in the granite areas, there's numerous veinlets introducing gold into the Salmon River. So the gold and the river they correspond with each other. In the basalt areas, the only way the gold gets there is it's transported there by the river, because the gold doesn't form up in or on top of basalt. So we have learned maybe stick more in the granite zone, and we've had better success in that region. So that is one thing we learned.
Well, what about, didn't we learn something about maintenance on a jet boat?
Yeah, I hadn't been down into the lower Salmon for many years. I worked down there 4 years as a river guide, and a fishing guide, and a jet boat tour guide, but I hadn't been down in there for 18 years or more. And at the time, I was fishing more than I was hunting gold. And I told Bob that I know that the zone changes. You get below the basalt is what I told him, because the basalt columns do go away. And in my mind, I was thinking to turn back into granite. Well, my buddy took us out in his jet boat, which happens to be about 40 years old. I told Bob jet boats are kind of like airplanes. You need them to be real reliable. But we crossed our fingers and we took off down into the lower gorge. And yes, the zone did change. It didn't change into granite. It just changed into a different type of basalt. And we swung our metal detectors, found lots of lead, sinkers, fish hooks. Did not find any gold. And on our return, we came up through the main rapid that's down there. It's called Bigfoot Island. And just at the top of the rapid, my buddy's motor made a big pop and quit. And that was that. And so we threw out an anchor and managed to get the boat stopped in a pretty good current in the middle of the river at the top of this rapid. So we tried several maneuvers to get the boat to shore. and not end up going back down through this rapid. None of them were exactly successful. Finally, another boat came along and they towed us back to the ramp, and it was just one more Mark and Bob's great adventures. Learned a lot. Didn't find any gold, but it made a good story.
Yeah, there's that. And then I know we took a trip up to Warren Mining District, and it was what, Last Chance Gulch, I think it was, a little tiny gulch that we got some samples out of. And actually, you pulled some decent gold out of there, didn't you, after I'd left, right?
We did. You and I, we also went up to War Eagle, Bob. That's a rough one.
Oh, my God.
It's a rough ride in. Yeah, that was another adventure. I'll give it that. But I've made a friend that works the lookout tower there at War Eagle, and he bought a high banker from me, and he's invited me up. He has permission to mine a 160-acre mine that our gold claim that his buddy has up there. So we're going to go up and do a little mining with him, get acquainted with his gold maker, and see what we can do for this summer.
Okay. So what about the rye patch?
That was another adventure, and that's on the same mountaintop. I had a theory that you don't grow rye at 8,000 feet up there, and my theory was a lot of times gold that I have found in these high elevations, ancient river channels, it's shaped like teardrops or seeds, or you might say rye seeds. And so I had a theory that it was probably named the rye patch because of the gold nuggets they were finding. So Bob and I went on this grand adventure to go find where they're digging gold on Rye Mountain, and what we came up with, they're not digging gold on Rye Mountain, best I can tell. In all my research, I cannot find where the name came from, but I'm pretty sure it didn't come from finding gold nuggets. It was one more adventure, and everybody loves to talk about their success, and nobody talks about these days, but Bob and I had a